Hello, my diamonds, my TikToker, SheilaTruelove. I want to talk about when you're trying to make amends with your adult children. You take it upon yourself to make the first phone call, you initiate it, and then it turns out to be so unproductive. And the reason why, I tried that with one of my family members, and it was just so unproductive because, you know, there's no way you're going to find someone who's going to agree with everything that you say. There's no way you're going to find someone who wants to constantly validate you, or how you say praise you constantly, morning, noon, and night. Now, do we all need support? Absolutely. Every human being on the planet, it's awesome to be supported. And will I support my family members? Yes, I will. I will be their biggest cheerleader if they're right. But how can you support someone when you know that what they're saying is not correct, or when you know that they're wrong about something, and they still, regardless, they want you to support them? They don't want you to tell the truth about anything. They just want you to say, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. I understand what you're saying. Oh, yeah. Whatever happened, yeah, they shouldn't have done that. Oh, yeah, they were wrong. They were wrong. How can you say someone is wrong when you haven't heard both sides? Because the Bible says anytime you haven't heard both sides and you make a decision, that makes you an idiot. That makes you a fool. And I want to ask you this question. Because not that I need validation, because I know the answer because it's in harmony with the Bible. The Bible says also, when you go into court and you hear one decision, you've already was prepared to draw conclusions until you heard the other side. And that's when you decide to come up with a different decision. How many of you agree with me? How about this? How about agree with Jehovah God and Jesus Christ? That it's important to hear both sides. Like if you hear a person's side of saying something, you say, okay, wow, that's something. And do you think that it's very imperative? It's important for you to hear the other person's side? Like when you hear adult children saying things about their parents, do you think it's important for you to at least just hear? You don't have to draw conclusions. But do you think that it's important to hear at least the parent side? Or when you hear parents talking badly about their children, she's saying this about their child, and this, but then the child is not there to defend themselves. Do you think that's fair? Because the way I think, inside my head, I love Karamo. I'm just going to put it like this. I love the Karamo show because when he's dealing with adult children and the parent, he has both of them on his stage. Both of them are on his platform. So that way, when you hear both sides, you can draw or come to the proper conclusion. And also, what is his name? He's a rapper, but he is he has his own podcast, and I love him. He's a Christian rapper. What is his name? Let me see. Let me look it up. His name is Lecrae, and he's been through it. He went through some issues with his mom. So when he was trying to use his situation, so that other people could see that they're not the only ones who's going through something, he had himself on the stage, on the platform, and he has his mother there. So it's both of them there. So that way you're getting both sides. So you can, yeah. To me, that just makes sense. And I don't need the validation on that because I just automatically know that that's common sense. How am I going to draw conclusions when I don't have all the facts? I don't have all the evidence. I don't have all of that in before I can come to a conclusion. That don't make sense. But when I'm talking to my family member, they feel that you're supposed to side with them even when they're wrong. You're supposed to support them, whether they are, you know, no, sometimes you just need to, you know, see it for what it is. And we all have flaws. This family member never has any flaws. He's perfect. He's always the victim. And it's like, it's just so, oh my God, it's draining. And even though I took the initiative to make the first move to call them up to try to make amends, it was a total flop because they can't hear you. When you're dealing with someone who refused to, you know, put a mirror up and look at yourself in the mirror, it's just useless. The whole conversation was futile. Futile. It's like they want you to respect their boundaries and they want you to respect them, right? They don't respect you though. Their boundary, check out their boundaries. It's just ridiculous. Their boundary, and check this out, I heard them say it right out of their mouth. They said, I want everyone to just agree with me. Does that sound reasonable to you? They said, I want people who's just going to validate me because I don't want no hard way to go. Just validate me, and I want you to just agree with everything I say. Does that even sound like somebody who's living in the real world? Or does that sound like someone who, if things don't measure up to the pictures that they have created inside their head, then you're crossing their boundaries? Now, yes, we all understand that boundaries are very important to have because it serves as a protection. But let's be realistic. A protection, make sure it's a protection when it comes to realistic things. It shouldn't be a protection from listening to other people telling you the truth or other people saying to you how they feel. Because then you have to re-examine. You just have to re-examine your boundaries. Because a lot of these millennials and some people who are overly sensitive, they set these unreasonable boundaries. Anytime you're dealing with someone who says that you have to agree with everything I say, you have to feel the way I feel, you have to see everything the way I see it, or you're crossing my boundaries, yeah, you're going to have to fall back from that person because that person, they need to be in therapy. They need some serious therapy. Because that's not being realistic, that's not being reasonable, and that damn sure is not being sensible. People should be allowed to have their feelings. As long as you don't have anyone putting their hands on you, you don't have anyone screaming and yelling at you, you don't have anyone cursing at you, calling you all kind of bitchumf and all of this crazy nonsense, then there's nothing wrong with people speaking to you truthfully. It's just truthfully. But you have so many people in this world, and I know that I don't have to educate you on this, or I don't even have to convince you on this. You've already experienced it yourself. When you tell them the truth, now you're their enemy. When you tell them, you know, I will support you every inch of the way when I see that you're right. When you're right, I will support you 100%. But if I see that, no, what you're saying is questionable. It's just questionable, and I need more information. Why is that a problem? Because I don't get it. And maybe you, my beautiful listeners, maybe you can help me understand. Because if I'm wrong, let me tell you something. If you can show me that I'm wrong, I'm not offended. I appreciate it because I like to learn something new too. I like learning new things. So show me a different way of looking at it. And if I'm wrong, I stand corrected most humbly. And I'm going to say in advance, thank you for showing me a different way of looking at it. Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle.